Hello everybody, hello grade 1-2s. I hope you had another wonderful week. We still miss you a lot. We are thinking of all of you and praying for you. Last week we learned about the empty tomb, how Jesus' friends and disciples went to go look for him where he was buried and instead found an empty tomb. His body was gone. And so our story this week picks up where we left off. It's a story about two men who were walking and talking along a road and the things that happened on the way. Before we get into our story, I want to share one of the crafts for this week. We are making masks. So you can see in this picture, the girl is holding a mask that she made from a paper plate and a popsicle stick. But you can really use whatever you have at home, even just a piece of paper that you decorate. It can be your whole face that the mask is for, or it can just cover your eyes, just something that makes you a little bit more difficult to recognize. And if you made a mask, or if you have a mask at home already, bring it along for our story because we can use it. So our story today comes from the book of Luke in the Bible, in chapter 24, verses 13 to 35. So you can follow along at home or read that with your family. And there are two words in the story that I will be using a lot, the word friend and the word stranger. So you probably all know what friend means. A stranger is someone that you don't know or you don't recognize. And so when you hear the word friend, I want you to take a step or a little hop like you're walking down the road. And when you hear the word stranger, I want you to hold up your mask to your face, or if you don't have a mask, you can cover your face with your hands. And so I want you to listen very carefully to our story because I will be using those words a lot. And so like I said, our story today is about two men, and they are walking from the city of Jerusalem, where everything has happened so far, to a city called Emmaus. And one of these men, his name is Cleopas. So Cleopas and his friend, did you hear the word friend? Cleopas and his friend are walking along a road. And as they are walking, they're talking about everything that happened to Jesus. And they're very sad, and they're very lonely because Jesus isn't around anymore, and they really miss him. And so as they're walking, a stranger, did you hear the word stranger? Remember to put up your mask. A stranger decides to walk with them. But Cleopas and his friend, they didn't recognize him. And so the stranger asked, "What are you guys talking about?" And Cleopas was amazed. He says, "You must be the only person in Jerusalem that didn't hear what just happened." And so they started to talk about everything that happened to Jesus. They were talking about how Jesus did a lot of miracles, how he helped a lot of people. And then they also told the stranger how Jesus died. And then they talked about the empty tomb and the angels that appeared to the women. And then the stranger started talking back to the men. He said that Jesus had to die before going back to heaven. And he told them that was written in the scripture, so written in other parts of the Bible. And soon enough, as they're talking and they're walking, they reach the town of Emmaus where they were going. And they invite the stranger, so Cleopas and his friend invite the stranger to come have dinner with them. And when the stranger sat at the table and prayed and broke the bread, the men suddenly realized that it was Jesus who had been walking with them. Jesus was alive. And they said, "Our hearts were warm when Jesus talked to us." But suddenly, Jesus was gone again. And so Cleopas and his friend, they got up and ran all the way back to Jerusalem. They had spent the whole time trying to get to Emmaus, but they ran all the way back to Jerusalem to tell everyone that they had seen Jesus and Jesus was alive. Friends, it is so important that when we have good news, like when Cleopas and his friend realized that Jesus was alive, that we tell everyone that we know, because good news is meant to be shared. When we think about today's story, I want you to think about a few questions. So the first question is, at the beginning of our story, why were Cleopas and his friend, why were they so sad? And then as they were walking on the way to Emmaus, who did they meet? And how did they know who it was? Or did they know who it was? How do you think Cleopas and his friend felt when they recognized Jesus later at dinner that night? And then what did Cleopas and his friend do after Jesus left? Jesus died and rose again. That was our big story from last week and the week before. And Cleopas and his friend didn't believe that Jesus was alive until they saw him with their own eyes. It almost felt too good to be true. But once they knew it was true, they wanted to tell everybody that they knew. So when we have good news, one of the ways to tell everyone we know is through music or songs. And so we have a song this week about the good news that Jesus is alive. And with the song are some actions, and you need a partner for these actions. I don't have a partner here with me today, so I will just show you and tell you what you can do. And so the first line of this song is spread the good news everywhere. And so you can turn in a circle either by yourself or you can twirl your partner. Jesus is alive, and you give your partner a high five. Take the good news here and there, and you can just point everywhere. Jesus is alive, high five. Step, step, hop, so step, step, and hop. Don't be slow, you can say don't be slow, come on, like this. Right foot, left foot, so step, do-si-do. So with a do-si-do, you put your hands like this, and you go back to back with your partner, and you go around them. So I can't really show you that without a partner, but you can do that. Spread the good news everywhere, so a circle you can turn or you can twirl. Jesus is alive, high five, all right? So I will try to do some of those actions by myself, and you can do the rest with your partner at home, maybe a brother or a sister or a parent, and it goes like this. Get ready. Spread the good news everywhere, Jesus is alive. Take the good news here and there, Jesus is alive. A step, step, hop, don't be slow. Right foot, left foot, do-si-do. Spread the good news everywhere, Jesus is alive. Good dancing, everybody. All right, our last thing for this week is the same thing that we have every week. It's our Today I Learned. This is what it looks like. This is the road to Emmaus. And the story is found right here. And our verse is still our verse. I hope you really know it by now. It is Jesus has risen from the dead in Matthew chapter 28, verse 7b. We'll make sure we'll include this page for you if you want to color it. All right, everyone. Thank you for coming to Sunday school. We hope to see you soon in some way or another. Have a good week.